I want to welcome in our next guest, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, and talk more about what's going on at the border and what's going on right now. Senator, great to have you on this morning. The month of September so far, the U.S. is averaging 9,000, just under 9,000 illegal crossings per day. Doesn't include gotaways. And the Biden administration is going to give work permits, basically the ability to get work permits to 500,000 Venezuelans who are expected to start crossing illegally as early as this morning. What do you make of where we are right now when it comes to the situation at the southern border?
Well, we're completely lost control of the southern border, and how smart do you have to be to figure out what will happen next? If you give 470,000 Venezuelans work permits, you're going to get another million to come. People will be attracted by that move. In the supplemental sent to Congress to help with emergencies, you know what the Biden administration did on border security? They defunded ICE, the enforcement part of immigration. They took money for ICE and we're going to put it into community shelters, which means more space for illegal immigrants. They've done everything but take an ad out all over the world. Come to America. If you get here, you'll never leave. These people are either incompetent or they doing this on purpose. And I think they're doing it on purpose.
Senator, this is Rick Grinnell. The situation with Venezuela is concerning because, one, we don't have diplomatic relations with Venezuela, but we also don't have a U.S. ambassador to Colombia. So this is a problem for the Biden administration in that they don't have point people down there. Do you see this as a problem that we don't have enough ambassadors, we don't have enough point people down there at all?
We don't have enough people in Africa to counter China. You know, Rick, when you were in the State Department, we had a voice. When you were up there helping President Biden, we had a voice. When you're in Germany, we had a voice. It's pretty hard to affect American policy when you don't have a voice on the ground. All I can say is it's a matter of time before some terrorist group comes to a broken southern border and kills a bunch of us. Getting out of Afghanistan set in motion a lot of dangers. Al-Qaeda is now thriving, no matter what you hear, in Afghanistan. So yes, we need to change our border policies now. We need to change the asylum law. As written, as implemented, if you get into America and claim asylum, you never leave. You're never going to go back to the Trump years until you adopt Trump policies.
Yeah, and Senator, you mentioned China. 18,000 Chinese nationals have entered the country illegally over the southern border. So that's another concern. Tack on fentanyl, the number of Americans dying. What will it take for the Biden administration not only to do something, but to even acknowledge? You don't hear him talk about it. The reporters don't ask him questions about it, yet we continue to see this happen.
It takes him losing. So Rick was part of a team that brought the lowest illegal immigrant numbers in 40 years in December of 2020. The Trump policies of remain in Mexico worked. People are not going to pay $10,000 to go to Mexico and never be allowed into the country. They did agreements with the Northern Triangle countries, allowing people to apply for asylum in their own country. The Trump policies actually worked. Biden repealed all of those policies. We have an open border, a broken border, and to the American people, if you elect these people yet again, our country will not be recognizable. The number of illegal immigrants coming is going through the roof. Their policy is to remain in Texas. They don't want Texas to send these immigrants to Chicago, LA, and New York. And you know what, Governor Abbott, you're doing the country a service by making illegal immigration real to these blue cities.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Yeah, it's a great point. Texas is, you think about Eagle Pass, and that region of Texas, they're dealing with 9,000 crossings per day. You look at New York City, they can't handle 10,000 per month. And now Democrats are calling out the Biden administration, who is blaming this all on Congress. And Merrick Garland yesterday had the audacity to address the fentanyl crisis and say this is something we need to address. This is happening because of the crisis at the southern border, because of bad Biden policy. Senator, I want to ask you about what could be a historic deal, peace deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel. I'm wondering what you're hearing and if you're involved in this, sir.
I am up to my eyeballs in this because The Abraham Accords, which was done on your watch, Rick, by President Trump, after he killed Soleimani and some other things before, taking on the Iranians by Trump convinced the Arabs he was a good partner. Y'all were able to persuade several Arab nations to recognize Israel for the first time in a very long time. The natural extension of the Abraham Accords is to normalize relationship with Saudi Arabia. They want a defense agreement with the United States, which would be in our interest, I think. They want a nuclear program, which I think can be done peacefully. And for that, they will recognize the state of Israel. If you could get Saudi Arabia to have diplomatic relationships with Israel, that ends the Arab-Israeli conflict, and that puts Iran in a big box. I'm helping the Biden administration do this. It's a natural extension of the Abraham Accords. Without the Abraham Accords, this would not be possible. But I think we can do it this year or early next year.
And it makes it bipartisan. It'd be a fantastic idea to really move this forward.
Yeah, Senator, keep us posted on that. Great seeing you this morning. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham joining us from the Capitol.